Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to TCS iON IntelliGem 2023. Before we move any further, may I please request Mr. Mahadevan Venkatakrishnan, Head School Education Unit TCS iON, to set the ball rolling.
A happy new year 2023 to each and every one of you, and a very warm welcome to the national grand finale of the fifth edition of TCS and IntelliGem. It gives me immense pleasure to join all of you who are gathered to cheer and support the finalists in this contest. In a few moments, we will witness the finale, where these young and eager, the best of the lot who reach the finals, will showcase their skills competing for the crown. Our heartfelt congratulations to all the finalists who have made it thus far. When we started IntelliGem in 2018, the goal was to reach out to schools, educators, and the student community in creating and strengthening the awareness of the necessary skill sets for the future. Structured in a contest mode, we run this program almost throughout your entire academic year, or I should say, the core of your academic year. The contest starts in August around the Independence Day and ends in January on the Republic Day, aptly to really identify the gems and nourish them to become impactful nation builders in the future. The topics, the rounds, the evaluation rubric, all have been carefully put together by a team of experts. Every year, we try to introduce something new. Last year, it was visual literacy, given the growing need and growing presence of students online during the pandemic. This year, we have brought in one another topic, very relevant for the times, extremely important, given today's children are going to be the change makers, policy makers, or innovators in the future. The topic revolves around sustainable development, sustainability. This year, we have integrated sustainability as a core theme throughout the program. And many of the finalists will be talking, debating, answering some of the core challenges on sustainability. We are happy that many of them have already showcased in the previous rounds their knowledge and skill sets around sustainability as a theme. Our goal is that every student makes a quantum leap in their skill sets and unlock their true potential. Given the growing importance of skills beyond academics, IntelliGem has grown to become one of the largest national level contests in the country. Structured around the 21st century skills, today we are proud to tell you that TCS and IntelliGem is the largest contest which runs across the country. We are very grateful to all the educators, to all the school leaders who have embraced this and who have been supporting year on year. In fact, a large number of schools have been participating right from the first year, right from inception. Thank you for all of you who have made this wonderful journey possible. I don't want to stand between the finale and you. So let me wish all the finalists who have made it thus far, whatever your performance, you should be proud that you have proven to be an intelligent. And that is what we celebrate. Each and every one of you is a gem. Let the finale begin. Wishing you all the very best. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for us to introduce our host to you. A celebrated quiz anchor across Asia, she is the only woman as a professional host in this region. Rated as 40 under 40 by Business World, she is an alumnus of the prestigious NITK Surathkal and has hosted more than 500 shows over the last couple of years, including every edition of TCS iON IntelliGem. She is also well known as the co-host of Tata Crucible and is extremely popular with school and college students. Here today to play anchor at yet another edition of TCS iON IntelliGem, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome Miss Rashmi Furtado.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to TCS iON IntelliGem, an initiative by TCS iON created specifically to create gems of tomorrow. That is, our students who are here with us today. This is an initiative that was created by TCS iON 5 years ago, which makes this the 5th consecutive year of TCS iON IntelliGem. I have been a part of this initiative from the very beginning. I've been fortunate enough to be a part of this from the beginning. And I have seen the level of the students and the caliber of the students increasing year on year. The intensity and the level of competition that goes up every year is mind-blowing. And as a host, if I am saying so, I can only imagine how all of you viewers must be going through when you listen to the views that these children have here. Let me introduce all of them to you. All of these students who are here with us today are from the Universal Values Senior category, all of them belonging to the classes 7, 8, and 9. So let me introduce all of them to you, and then we will get into the finale of Universal Values. Our first finalist for the day is Aditi Satyanarayana from National Hillview Public School, Bengaluru. Up next is Anusuya from Padma Seshadri Bal Bhavan, Chennai. Following Anusuya is Siddharth, joining us from St. Thomas Residential School, Thiruvananthapuram. Representing Sishu Graha from Bangalore is Meghna. Following her is Kirtan Kumar from Manchester International School, Coimbatore. And completing the lineup is Shriya Ramesh from Padma Seshadri Bal Bhavan, Chennai again. Well, you can see all of them smile now. Believe me, when they get into speaking their views, your minds will be blown. That is how wonderful they are when it comes to expressing their thoughts and their perspectives. Let's get into the finale here today. The first round of the Universal Values Senior category finale is Me in 30 Seconds. Here we go. Ladies and and gentlemen, this finale is all about universal values. All of us talk a lot about values, and sometimes as adults, we end up saying things like, children today don't have the same kind of values that we had when we were their age. That isn't true. And believe me, with what you listen to today, your view will certainly change. In this particular round, all of them will introduce themselves on how they will uphold universal values as a leader, and they will do that only in 30 seconds. Because in life, you don't always get a lot of time to express yourselves. So we want to train these children on how to be effective in the least amount of time. Our first contestant who will introduce herself is Aditi. Aditi, your time starting now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Aditi Satyanarayana. If I had to describe myself in one word, I would choose creative. I express this creativity of mine through art. I've always been inclined towards art ever since I was a little kid, and even now I pursue it. Painting and sketching has instilled in me a sense of calmness and patience, which I consider to be great virtues. Another way in which we can express ourselves is through writing. That's why I love reading books so much, because it gives you an insight into others' perspective, broadening your horizon. It also enriches our thought process. The exposure you have at a young age determines what kind of person you grow up to be in future. Hence, the books I have read have made me more humble, confident, and improved my skills to interpret situations, all of which I think are great values that a leader must possess. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. Patience and being calm is what she said. Well, she's not wrong when she says those are very important virtues when it comes to a leader. All right. Our next finalist who will introduce herself in 30 seconds is Anasuya. Anasuya, your time starting now.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I am Anasuya from PSBB School, Chennai. As a leader, I relate to the value of respect, as I believe that respecting ourselves guides our morals, and respecting others guides our manners. In the vast number of people doing their jobs, often many of them go unthanked or unnoticed, and all of them deserve our respect and gratitude. By mutual respect and understanding, we can find acceptable solutions to all problems which may arise. We must respect the right to be different. We must respect others' opinion even if we disagree with them. A leader respects everyone, irrespective of their rank or status, as a leader knows well the meaning of the saying, respect begets respect. Thank you.
It's very good to see that someone from class 7 is able to speak and understand what respect means. All right, let's move on. Siddharth, you're up next. Your time starting now.
Hi everyone. I believe that our life's journey is like that of a ship in an ocean. At times of calm, our values act as a compass and show us the right direction to reach our goals. At times of turmoil, our values act as an anchor and give us hope of a better tomorrow. While honesty, empathy, and equality are all values that I firmly believe in, there are two phrases that encompass my value system as a leader. These are Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, the world is one family, and Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Let all beings in the world be happy and well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Siddharth. The entire world being one family is probably the most important thing that our world requires today. I'll not get into that, and let's move on with our next finalist. Meghna, you're up next. Your time starting now.
Leaders create leaders, not followers. Leaders are made and not born. Leaders pave the path for their people. Leaders encourage others to carry on. I believe empathy and integrity, honesty and equity are important qualities I would choose to imbibe in me to lead strong and courageously and inspire all those around me. There is no I in team. I'll put my teammates first and encourage every person to reach the goal we deserve. I love to write, hence this poem to you. I'm Meghna Vani, grade 8 of Shishugriha School. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Meghna. Well, I think empathy can solve at least half the problems our world is facing today. She's not wrong in mentioning that. Let's move on. Kirtan, you're up next. Your time starting now.
Hi, dear friends and esteemed jury members. My name is Kirtan, and to me, universal values are values that are applicable to everyone. As a fellow student, I feel these values have to be taught to me and any other student at an early age, as we are the future of our planet. Every child comes with a message that God is not yet discouraged by man. This quote said by Rabindranath Tagore proves my point. In the past 3 years, my IntelliGem journey shaped me and my view on universal values. I feel these values have to be imbibed individually so that the world can change drastically and fantastically. The bits and pieces that I knew about universal values grew to be a whole, and so will everyone else's views on the same when universal values rise to the top. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirtan. All right, very articulate there. Let's move on. Our final contestant who will speak about herself is Shreya. Shreya, you're up next. Go ahead.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I'm Shreya Ramesh, and I am an extremely voracious reader, much to my mother's dislike, as I mostly enjoy storybooks. But this has taught me one of my most important attributes, being empathy. Not only the ability to imagine myself in the shoes of Harry Potter waving a wand, but the ability to imagine myself in the shoes of my team members, to truly understand what they're going to and to be able to adapt to that and show them respect and be able to lead my team into its best, most optimal position. Another important value that I believe any leader should have is communication. Because a leader should be confident to inspire confidence in their team. And to do that, they must have good and clear communication skills to eliminate any risk of ambiguity. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Shreya. Well, I don't know about the rest of them, but I'm a huge Harry Potter fan myself. And if nothing, you definitely can learn the value of friendship from Harry Potter. I think that has been my largest learning from Harry Potter, but that is a very long discussion. Let's not get into that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you saw how these contestants, these children from classes 7, 8, and 9 are. You saw their caliber. Let's move on now to the second round. Your thoughts. Here we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching TCS iON IntelliGem Universal Values Senior Finale. All of our contestants have already introduced themselves, and trust me, the contest is just getting started. It'll get interesting from here. Now it's time for all of our contestants to speak on a minute on the topic coming right up on your screen now. Effective leaders versus ethical leaders. This is a topic that is left to the interpretation of all of our finalists. We have not lent any perspective or thought on the topic. It's left to them on how they want to interpret the topic and what line of thought they want to take. I'm going to go in the opposite direction now. Shreya, we will be starting with you. Your minute's time on effective leaders versus ethical leaders, starting now.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. So I'm of the opinion that today's leaders need to be both effective and ethical. They are not exclusive, but the two qualities in a leader must work hand in hand and maintain an optimal balance of compassion and conclusiveness. Ethical leadership typically leads to greater trust in the workplace relationships and thus helping ensure partnerships and greater contribution from every single team member. Because to have a good team, not one person must feel that their thoughts and ideas and contributions are left out. Ethical leadership is almost always leads to increased team member participation, empowerment, and engagement. It's also suggested that ethical leadership is essential in creating a sustainable organization, because an ethical leader can create ethically based organizations that results in greater trust between the team members. Ethics are also so important when we look at the direction the world is going with AI on the roads. But effectiveness can be not be ignored. So a leader must be both effective and ethical to lead us to the world of the future. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shreya. She stuck to the time. A minute's time is what she had, and a minute's time is what she took. All right. Good thoughts on effective leaders versus ethical leaders. It's a very long debate, if you ask me. But for now, let's continue with our next finalist. Kirtan, you're up next. Your time starting Now.
To me, an effective leader is someone who focuses on the end motive and the process, but not entirely on what they do affect society. That sometimes can be a bad thing. On the other hand, to me, ethical leadership is again focusing on the end motive and the process, but mainly focusing on what they do impacts the people and the society. That can sometimes lead to a good thing. In my opinion, an example of an effective leader is Hitler. His goal was to make Germany great again, not a bad thing. But the way he didn't think about how he would do affect society. He killed millions of Jews and hurt lots of people by waging wars. Now that's bad. I'm not saying effective leaders are only bad, but you also have to think about how what you do affects society. On the other hand, an example of ethical leadership is Bill Gates. Bill Gates donated more than half of his total net worth towards eradicating malaria and dengue, helping kids get a good education, and helping places getting better health and hygiene. Now that's a lot of money towards good causes. Now to sum it up, there can't really be a good leadership, as effective leadership means ethical leadership and vice versa. So that's my statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Kirtan. All right, our next finalist who will be speaking on the topic is Meghna. Meghna, go ahead, your time starting now.
Effective leaders and ethical leaders are two sides of the same coin. Leading effectively and ethically work hand in hand in order to be a good leader. What we all strive for is to be effective. If you have a perfect plan in place and puppeteer every person to follow your every order, it might be an effective way to reach your goal. However, if you're unwilling to compromise and accommodate for the wants and needs of your people and use unethical means to achieve success, that leadership won't last long, as your people will begin to lose faith and won't care to listen to you after a while. The end goal should always be in mind, but there is a point where if there is too much suffering being faced, your ethics and the team as a whole should be prioritized so that they can be effective later on in time, since they are, after all, humans. For example, if a teammate is facing troubles in their family, an ethical leader would give them time off so that they can sort their issues out and can concentrate on their work afterwards, thus making the work that they're doing more effective. Ethical leadership is a means of achieving effective leadership, which is what we all aim for. You cannot have one without the other. I'd like to end with the example of Mahatma Gandhi, acknowledged as one of the world's greatest leaders. He led the freedom movement with strong values of nonviolence and integrity. And in the end, it was this nonviolent movement that was the final step in our country achieving the goal of freedom. Thank you.
All right, Siddharth, you're up next. Your view on the topic, effective leaders versus ethical leaders. Your time starting now.
Historically, an effective leader was defined as one who influences followers to work together successfully to achieve a vision. By that definition, even Hitler was an effective leader, and we all know the price the world had to pay for his leadership. In a truly interconnected world, a leader cannot have a myopic view of achieving the end results by any means possible. A true leader is one who leads with compassion, embraces differences, and encourages peaceful coexistence, not only among people, but even with humans and nature. Leadership is about inspiring those around you to be the best version of themselves. Thus, in my view, there is no question of effective leaders versus ethical leaders. For a leader to be effective, one has to necessarily be ethical. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Siddharth. All right, our next contestant who will give her views on the topic is Anasuya. Anasuya, your time on the topic starting now.
Effective leadership is about the creation, process, and achievement of vision. Ethical leadership is about whether or not the vision is morally good for the society. Effective leadership is about how to do something, while ethical leadership is about the outcomes. Today, leaders need to be both effective and ethical. For example, if I say that a dictator is a good leader, most of us would disagree. But let us note that even though his actions might be morally repugnant, he may still be successfully able to create a vision and get his followers to achieve it, even if it is for a short period of time. Sometimes leaders compromise on ethics. This type of effectiveness is short-lived. It comes at the cost of loss of followers, and it is not useful. Effectiveness can only be achieved if morals and ethics form the foundation of teams. Thus, I would like to conclude by saying that even though following the ethical path might not yield any success in the shorter run, but it will always be more fruitful in the longer run. An ethical leader will always be an effective leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Anasuya. Aditi, you're up next. Your time on the topic starting now.
A person who sticks to moral principles, even in the face of adversity, is said to be an ethical leader. Whereas anyone can prove to be an effective leader by achieving a goal, the path he takes becomes irrelevant. Ethics is a guiding force that helps us figure out what is right from what is wrong. Hence, I feel a leader must be aware of it. Practicing ethics provides credibility to the leader, so people will not think twice to do business with him or trust him for his actions. The power of doing the right thing makes a person fearless. Being fearless gives him confidence, and this confidence lets the leader execute actions and take decisions boldly. This enhances efficiency. Contrary to it, when one is unethical, however effective he may be, he needs to guard himself against onlookers, and pretension is needed to hide his unethical practices. We have all witnessed the havoc caused by Russia and Ukraine. In the eyes of Putin, he may be an effective leader, as he wanted to ensure the safety of his citizens. But waging a war against another country is completely unjustifiable. Hence, I strongly feel what the world needs today is not an effective leader, but an ethical leader who can take the world forward effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditi. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these are students of classes 7, 8, and 9. That is something we should not forget. The way they speak, you might tend to think that they're way older, but that's not the case. They're still in school and still in high school, if I'm not wrong. All right, let's continue with the finale and move on to the next round of our finale here today. Voice your views. Here we go. The battle is on when it comes to voice your views. This is a debate round with a slight change, actually. And they have 8 minutes of time to debate amongst themselves on a certain topic. But at the end of the 8 minutes, they have to arrive at a conclusion as a group. They cannot have diverse opinions. They have to arrive at a conclusion. This is where we see how leadership abilities play when it comes to such situations. Their topic for the day on your screen: war and peace, are they connected? This is an interesting topic, and all of us adults, I'm sure, have had a lot of debates when it comes to this topic. But right now, I'm sure all of you are curious to know what views these children have for us here today. All right, I will not interfere. The floor is open for the debate. Go ahead.
So I'd like to tell my first opinion. To me, war and peace are both connected because they have a very similar goal: to change an ideology or opinion of a nation or a group. But usually war does it in a more violent and forcing way. On the other hand, peace does it in a more subtle and more less demanding way.
Yes, I think that war and peace are interconnected. Even ancient thinkers from China, Greece, Rome have said that you need war for peace. For example, Aristotle noted that we make war so that we may live in peace. Chinese generals said that in peace prepare for war, and in war prepare for peace. So this brings out the close connection between war and peace.
I would like to disagree. So the phrase "one man's terrorist may be another man's freedom fighter" is often used and misused to justify war and human rights violations in several parts of the world. I do not believe that war and peace are connected, as one is the opposite of the other, and justifying violence, whatever be the cause, is a downward spiraling path towards suffering and loss of human dignity.
One of my friends quoted Aristotle, but do you remember what he said in another situation? It is not important to win a war, it is more important to organize the peace. War is not just a simple disagreement between two countries, it leads to turmoil and upheaval of peace in both countries. In today's world, especially where everything is so interconnected, when war happens between two countries, it affects the world in a larger impact and can lead to global issues. So, this is why I think that war and peace can never be connected because one is not a prerequisite of another. They're completely different, they're polar opposites.
Yeah, I would like to add to what Anusia said. I understand your point. I understand your point about how wars are actually used to, like, there are means to create peace. But I believe that that's not very applicable to the current situation because in like the Rajput times, let's say, if there were several small kingdoms, they would fight amongst each other. But if there was one big, like one emperor who ruled over the entire area, there wouldn't be any wars because no one would dare to fight against him. But now we have very definitive countries and a set of rules about how countries should treat each other. So if we happen to wage wars, it's not like one country is going to succumb to the other. They're going to continue fighting against each other because they want to stand up for their country. So I believe that in the current situation, wars don't create peace. So
Yes, I agree with you.
All right. I'm of the opinion that war and peace are not interconnected because war is definitely not necessary for peace. In fact, the definition of peace is the state of not being in war because it is war that disrupts peace. Additionally, wars will never resolve in complete peace for a long time because when only one side wins a war, there is always an unrest that causes the need to resist rather than accept a certain outcome.
I
that's
agree.
I agree with you.
That's why I believe that war and peace are not interconnected because, like another person said, one is not a prerequisite for the other. We can always have peace, but we do not need war.
I believe that President Roosevelt has said, "Speak softly, but carry a big stick." President Barack Obama, during his Nobel Prize Peace Prize acceptance speech, said that during the ancient times, war was done just like drought and diseases were, or the tribes to show supremacy over others. And also sometimes the boundaries between war and peace are blurred. For example, we can take North and South Korea. For the past 60 years, there has been a continuous situation of war and ceasefire, but we do not know whether it was exactly for peace or whether they just wanted to fight. The Cold War between Russia and US, the war between Iran and Palestine, we do not know whether it is just for war or was it actually for peace.
Yes, I agree with you that
world
war.
is much different
I would like to
because
follow up on
earlier
this.
there were never the world was not globalized and we did not have the presence of several neutral platforms like the United Nations and the International Court of Justice, which can facilitate amicable discussions as well as make progressive and binding decisions that are impartial to both parties. In these situations, waging war is completely unnecessary, as freedom and equality can be gained from non-violent means.
Yes, I agree with
Exactly.
you because war is not like an absence of, peace is not an absence of war. For me, I think that peace is more about basic things like virtue, justice. The society needs to have all of these, including a good law, a good government, freedom, and also respect for human rights. And do you think that just because there is war, there would be peace post-war? Because we've all seen, like in war-prone areas like Iraq and Syria, even now, even though the war has subsided a little bit, people are struggling. In Afghanistan, after the Taliban took over and again the war has subsided, do you think the people are living peacefully? They're continuously struggling there because they're denied their basic rights. So, and if I could quote another example, after the Second World War II, when a bomb was put over Nagasaki and Hiroshima, even today, after years and years and decades together, people are still facing diseases because of the radioactive elements released by the bomb. So after a war, peace can never happen because the loss of life and property can never be repaired by any means which you might give them. The hurt will still be there and we can never attain peace. Does anybody agree with me?
Yes, but I want to say that when President Barack Obama accepted his Nobel Prize, his nation was itself in the middle of two wars, and huge peacekeeping organizations like UN and NATO, even though they are there for keeping peace, they still have an army prepared. And do you think that Adolf Hitler's armies could have been stopped if there was no war? Al Qaeda's leaders, could they have been stopped if there was no war?
Excuse me, my friends. I think we only have 1 minute remaining. We need to work towards a conclusion rather than talking over each
I
other.
want to tell this. I just noticed when everyone's talking about how war and peace are completely different, I just want to add up. When you ask the question, are war and peace connected? It doesn't mean they don't have to be the exact same. Just one link. And I realized one link. I realized that war and peace both come out of conflict and they have one goal. To change
have a
the
minute left.
ideology and opinion of a certain nation or group. So what do you think about it? War and peace have the same kind of, what do you think about it? It's the same kind of goal to change opinion or ideology. But the thing is, war and peace do it differently. That doesn't mean they're completely different. They still have at least one single connection.
But what I think is
saying that it is to establish long-term peace is essentially turning a blind eye to the lessons of history, which has shown us that the scars of war are never easy to heal.
that's true. But what I think is
30
war is
seconds,
not
you have 30
necessary.
seconds left.
Because can't we end the various issues which we are facing through negotiation and diplomacy? I think that should come first here. Because negotiation is a far more effective method rather than war. Because we can avoid loss of lives, heavy debts, and even material loss. There'll be a win-win situation for both parties. Like
Sorry,
some might.
why don't we just hold a consensus on who all think it's interconnected and who all think they are not interconnected so that we can
I
settle.
believe that we're kind of discussing if war is better or if peace is better. But I believe
Exactly.
that war and peace are connected because the absence of war does allow peace, and the presence of peace.
Yes, and according to Oxford Dictionary, the definition of peace is absence or end of war.
Exactly.
And war is just
Finalists,
peacemaking in violent ways.
Anasuya, hold on. Finalists, your time is up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, war and peace, are they connected? If you think about it, a global organization like United Nations has its sustainable development goals revolving around war and peace. If you look at the SDGs that we have, all of them can be a fallout either of war or peace. Or if you ask me, they need to be solutions for the fallouts of war and actually a way forward towards achieving peace. That is what this is all about. And speaking about the SDGs, let's now move into the next round of our finale here today, your perspective. Here we go. All right. So in this round, the contestants will be shown images on their screen. All of the images are connected to a sustainable development goal by the United Nations. Please note that none of these finalists have taken a look at any of these images before now. Now is when they will be taking a look. Contestants, there are 6 of you and there are 7 images. So even the last contestants will have a choice. I will call out your names, and as I call out your name, you will make your pick. You have 5 to 10 seconds of time to quickly figure out what you're going to speak, and you have less than 1 minute, or rather you have 60 seconds only to give me your perspective on the topic that you have chosen. Okay? All right. Let me start with our first contestant here today. Aditi, you're up. Please tell me, what topic would you want to choose?
I would like to choose gender equality.
Ladies and gentlemen, all of the topics that you saw on the screen and the images that you saw on the screen are actually social awareness advertisements that have been put up out there in the world, some of them connected and linked to certain brands, some of them by organizations like United Nations. For now, let's listen to Aditi's view on gender equality. What you can see on your screen there, are we teaching our sons what we have been teaching our daughters? Aditi, you have a minute's time, starting now.
So even though the Sustainable Development Goals are given to the nations and governments to follow, I think that each one of us can bring a difference, and it is us people who can change the society. So the values which I might connect to a person who can bring a change and bring in gender equality would firstly be acceptance. We should accept the fact that women are equal to men and can handle any work given to them. And we should also encourage and support women to venture out and make her mark in the society, because she's as capable as the opposite gender. And I think we can ensure this by firstly giving her proper pay, the equal pay as men. And I would like to encourage the BCCI, because I was reading the newspaper recently and they have made the salary given to female cricketers the same as men, and I think that's a great initiative. I also think that sensitivity is another value which should be instilled in the people of the world, sensitivity towards women and the various problems which they might face in the society, and support her in whichever way that she wants to come up in the society and make her mark. So I think that all of these values should first be inculcated ground root level in schools, and further on I think that
Aditi,
if
your
these
time's up. Your time's
yes
up.
yes
Thank you,
ma'am.
Aditi. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Aditi, for your views on gender equality. Well, if you ask me about gender equality, someone recently told me we ensure that our women are empowered and our girls are empowered. We motivate them. But do we raise our boys to support the women? Do we raise our boys to ensure that they motivate the women? That's a thought. For now, let's move on to our next contestant. Anusuya, which topic would you want to pick?
I would like to choose justice and equality.
Justice and equality is what Anusuya wants to speak about. All right, the topic right there on the screen for her. Anusuya, your minute's time starting now.
So we live in India. India's constitution guarantees equal rights to every single citizen in the country, from a social worker, from an ordinary person to the president. Everyone has to follow the same law. This is equality. Also, equality is guaranteed in the human rights, in which they say everyone is equal, equality in opportunity, equality in education. Every single aspect of our lives has equality. When we say equality, we don't only mean equality of caste, of races. Gender equality is also major inequality, and some of the greatest speeches in the world, like Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, was an equality for the slaves of the African Americans. And equality can only be, if inequality exists, it will only be resolved by justice. If everyone in the world is given justice and everyone is given the same justice, there is no bias, there is no stereotype in the world, only then will there be equality and everyone will be able to be looked upon as equal.
All right, thank you, Anusuya. All right, the next contestant who will make their pick is Siddharth. Siddharth, go ahead. What topic would you like to speak on?
I would like to choose quality education.
Quality education, all right. Very important topic for the entire world. Go ahead, Siddharth, your minute's time starting now.
So, COVID-19 has reminded us powerfully that the well-being of a few is inextricably linked to the well-being of all. Countries' responses to the pandemic have only been as strong as the weakest link in the chain, graphically illustrating how the safety of one is dependent on the safety of all. Unfortunately, the pandemic has deepened a global learning crisis, and as we return to a new normal while still reeling under the threat of a new wave, we need to develop resilient education systems which not only teach the 3 R's but also life skills such as healthy eating habits. We should have hybrid education systems so that the limited school infrastructure can be reserved for first-time learners in the event of another pandemic. If we can follow each one, teach one philosophy, we can make a lot of progress towards inclusive and equitable education. Today, there are 1.8 billion people between the ages of 10 to 24, the largest generation of youth in history. And if we can all take a pledge to be each other's keeper, not hesitating to lend a helping hand when one is strong, and not hesitating to ask for a shoulder to lean on when one is weak, then we can make this world a better place. not just for ourselves, but also for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Siddharth. All right, up next is Meghna. Meghna, what would you like to choose?
I'd like to go with equal rights.
Equal rights. All right. Let's go over to equal rights. It says everyone is born free and equal in dignity and right. Meghna, your time starting now.
Every person in this world is unique and different when it comes to so many factors, when it comes to where we're born, or how we look, or our culture, or our language. And that is the most beautiful thing about this global era. So these differences should be used as an asset. They should be encouraged, they should be encouraged to be they should be encouraged to be seen as a positive aspect of everyone. So when it comes to these differences, every person has a different opinion and a different mindset, especially based on all of the cultural differences that we have. So it's important that all of these people have equal opportunity and right to express themselves and to be a part of society, because that is the only way that society will progress. Yeah.
Thank you, Meghna. All right. Kirtan, you're up next. What topic would you like to go ahead with?
Non-violence and peace.
Non-violence and peace. All right, let's go on to that topic. Don't stand by, reach out, take action against violence. All right, Kirtan, your minute's time starting now.
So as you all know, in the current time that we have many conflicts going on, like the Russia-Ukraine war and the anti-hijab protests in Iran. So all of these, you know that these things are not necessary. And the only thing that can solve them are universal values. So I'd like to think 3 universal values that I personally feel can easily evade all of these conflicts. The first one is responsible citizenship. So all of these must have happened due to someone messing up. Like, for example, the Russia-Ukraine war. Putin didn't think. Okay, he ended up trying to attack Ukraine just because he didn't want Ukraine to join NATO, so that in hindsight they could try to take over Ukraine. So that's not being a responsible citizen, is it? And in anti-hijab protests, more police, they are doing the wrong things. It's a woman's freedom to wear hijab or not. And even if it's a law, they should probably add like a factor. If a girl's not comfortable with wearing hijab, they should not wear it. But more police didn't think of that, and that ended up very badly. The second universal value that I would add is tolerance, because violence usually starts when someone cannot control their actions. So tolerance is a very important universal value.
Your time's up, Kirtan. You have overshot the minute's time. All right,
Yes,
let's
ma'am.
move on to our last contestants. Shreya, what would you like to go ahead with? I think we have social justice and economic equality.
All right, I'll be going with economic inequality.
Economic equality, all right. Let's
Sorry.
go on to that. Beautiful image there by Amul. Caste no bar, class no bar, Amul, par. All right. Economic equality, Shreya, your topic and your time starting now.
All right, everyone. I would like to pose you a question. How is a person who's so poor that they don't know where their next meal is going to come from? How are they going to go and fight for their rights in a court of law when they are not educated enough because they cannot afford education to know what a court of law is and to know that they have rights that the government must provide to them? Economic equality, especially in in a country such as India, where so many are below the poverty line, is so crucial and important to the welfare of our population. We have a vast array of human resources that we must have the courage to educate and use to better our country and the lives of every single person who should proudly be able to claim that they are an Indian. To show economic equality would be to show acceptance, compassion, and empathy, to recognize that no matter where you come from, you have the right and the ability to succeed and do well in life. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Shreya. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching the grand finale of Universal Values Senior category brought to you by TCS iON under their IntelliGem initiative. Time for us to now move on to our final round, which is the jury round. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, time for me to introduce our esteemed jury members to you. Let me start with our first jury member, Ms. Melanie Furtado. She is an internal auditor and a VP at Deutsche Bank, and she's an alumnus of TAPME Bangalore campus. She's also a certified anti-money laundering specialist. She has work experience of over 20 years, and she also loves traveling and has visited several countries like US, Kenya, Singapore, Thailand, Switzerland, and many, many more. She, of course, is a fitness enthusiast, and she loves gardening, baking, loves her music, and also loves reading books. Ms. Furtado, thank you so much for joining us here today. Let me introduce our next jury member to you, Mr. Austin Mendonça. He has a career spanning for close to 40 years, and he is a master mariner, and he's actually been the captain of merchant ship for many, many years. He's an alumni of the T.S. Rajendra Indian Maritime University, and those of you Globetrotters would be very interested to know that he has explored over 50 countries in almost all the continents except Antarctic and the Arctic. And that's factually true. I'm not making up things here. He's very well traveled. His last voyages have been in icebound passages in the Labrador Straits and at Lawrence Seaway of Canada. He has completed auditor's course of ISO 14001 and ISO 9001. Very much into the quality management is what he's done. He's also trained many young cadets to become proficient officers at sea. And he retired in 2015. He loves gardening, he loves flying kites, and he also is a football player. Very varied hobbies that he has there. Mr. Mendonça, thank you so much for joining us here today. Lovely to have both of you here with us. All right. So both of you have heard the views of all of our contestants. There are 6 contestants with us here today. Both of you will get to choose 3 among the 6 of them. And you would question each of them with a question that you would have. A single question to 3 of them. All right? Ms. Furtado, would you like to go first? And whom would you like to pick?
I would like to ask questions to Anusuya, Aditi, and Siddharth.
Anusuya, Aditi, and Siddharth. All right. So shall we start with Aditi and then move on to Anusuya and Siddharth? If that order is okay with you?
Yeah, that order is fine with me.
All right. So Aditi, your first question coming to you from Ms. Furtado. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Aditi. My question to you is on the goal number 4, which talks about equitable quality education and promoting lifelong learning opportunities. So India is seeing a steady decline in government schools since 2018, to the extent of more than 51,000 since 2018, right? So do you think this is aligned to the UN's SDG goal on inclusive and equitable quality education? What are your views?
Ma'am, can you please repeat the last part of the question?
Sure. So do you think the decline in government schools in India is in line, or is it aligned to UN's goal of equitable quality education and sustainable learning?
Ma'am, I don't think that the decline of education would definitely be aligned, but I think that India is definitely taking its own initiatives to bring in more people, because India is such a vast country with so much of population. So I think that to achieve the amount of standard which other countries have, we would definitely need to put a lot of effort, which I'm not saying that our government isn't doing. I definitely think that they are. Like, for example, now they're bringing the midday meal schemes, which I think it's a really good initiative, because one of the main reasons why kids don't go to school is that their parents call them back home to work, to contribute to the family in some way, because they're basically fighting for subsistence. So I think that promising children lunch and food has brought in thousands of kids from all across the country. And I also think that nowadays, especially in Delhi, after a new party has come up, we can see a lot of change in the way that government schools are working. In the news, we can see that a lot of good and sensitive teachers are coming up. And also, what surprises me is that people are pulling their kids out of private schools and putting them to public schools, because they think that they'll get better opportunities there. So I think we're steadfastly growing to achieve the SDG of good and quality education.
Thank you, Aditi.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mendonça, would you want to question next? From what Ms. Furtado has picked, you have Meghna, Kirtan, and Shreya to question. Would you want to ask your next question? And
Okay,
who
I'll
would you
ask,
like to? Go ahead.
I'll ask Ms. Meghna.
Meghna. Go ahead, sir.
She loves to write and is empathetic. So can you define what is an leader, effective leader, and an ethical leader? Does he need to do self-leadership drills himself? Does he need to grow up as a leader?
Okay. Yeah, in order to be an effective leader, you have to develop a sense of ethics, especially like you have to cultivate it in yourself before you encourage others to inculcate it, because you have to lead by example. An effective leader would lead by example. They would encourage their peers to understand that, like, they themselves follow the ethics that they value, and so their peers can realize that, okay, this is effective and this works for this leader, so I should do it as well. So an effective leader should first be an ethical leader and be an ethical person in order to be effective.
Good.
All right. Thank you, Meghna. Ms. Furtado, whom would you like to speak to next?
Yeah, I would like to ask a question to Siddharth, please.
Yeah. Siddharth, your question from Ms. Furtado. Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, Siddharth. I have a question to you on UN's SDG Goal 12, which is around the sustainable consumption and production patterns. So do you think the boom of e-commerce platforms like Amazon, Flipkart, etc. has positively impacted the environmental protection and resource management? Would you like to give me your views on that?
Well, the e-commerce platforms like Flipkart and Amazon, they have had both a positive as well as negative impact, because the negative impact being that because it is easy to buy and they also have like aggressive techniques which help to boost consumption patterns. The sales are really high, but because the packaging material, that is a huge issue when it comes to e-commerce, because even for small things you need a large amount of packing, and these packing materials are not usually taken care of and disposed in the proper manner, so they add a lot of waste which damages the environment. However, Amazon e-commerce sites like Amazon like also reduce the emissions due to the motor vehicles, because now people don't need to go somewhere to buy things, they just need to buy it online. So that is another facet. They are also not promoting a circular economy, because nowadays since new products keep coming in, things like fast fashion are extremely popular, which decreases a circular economy, and we keep on buying new things and increasing our consumption in a way that is not sustainable, because most of these times these things are also made up of plastic, and even when a new mobile phone comes in, there is a huge sale that happens which also promotes towards consumption, and mobile phones or such electronic gadgets contribute towards e-waste, which is not usually disposable. And instead of reducing our consumption and repairing and refurbishing and increasing the life of the products that we buy, e-commerce actually incentivizes us to buy new products, which in turn pollutes the environment even more.
All right, thank you, Siddharth. Mr. Mendonca, whom would you like to go with next?
I'll go with Shreya Ramesh.
All right, Shreya, your question from Mr. Mendonca. Go ahead, sir.
She is good at this thing, communication. So I'll ask her on communication. What do you think is important, that a leader should communicate his vision well, or he should put ethics into his vision? So a leader has to be a good communicator of his vision. How will you put that?
Okay, yes, sir. I absolutely agree that a leader must be able to put forth their vision properly in order for their team to know what they're working on and how to go about that. They must also make sure that this vision is a good combination of ethicalness and effectiveness. It must be principally just and include everybody's views and opinions on it, but it must also accomplish the end goal of completing the project that the leader and their team have set out to accomplish. So that all starts when a leader is properly able to communicate what their vision for the team is and what they mean to achieve by this project, and how each and every member of this team can contribute and have their ideas also taken in and absorbed. So those are my views, sir.
Very good.
All right. Thank you, Shreya. All right, Ms. Furtado, your last question would be to Anusuya.
Yes, that's right. So Anusuya, you spoke about equality. So keeping aside all the quotes and all the literature that you have gone through around equality and you in upholding the equality values, what does equality mean to you? What does equality mean to Anusuya?
To me, whenever I think of equality, because I'm a strong believer in God, the first thing that comes to my mind is God created everyone equal. That is the first thing which comes to my mind. And when I think more about equality, the second thing I think of is not caste system. It's a gender equality, because still in India, gender inequality is a huge problem. And in India, gender equality is a huge problem, because still women are kept as housewives and they are not encouraged to go out. So that is what comes to my mind. And that is what, when I grow up, I want to break that barrier. And also, so many of my friends, they say that many of their grandmothers, they had been treated like that. So when I listen to them, I feel really bad. So because when I think of equality and I'm so close to my friends, that is what comes to my mind, and that is what I have to break, and that is what equality means to me.
Thank you, Anusuya.
All right. Mr. Mendonca, your final question to Kirtan. Please go ahead, sir.
Kirtan, the last question, we have left you for the last, and the reason is, what is your opinion on war and peace? I think in Ukraine or in the wars which are going on now, they are continuous wars. They keep on going on and on without any result. What is your opinion about this?
So like I said in the debate, my opinion on war and peace are the same goal. Like, they want to change an opinion or an ideology of a certain group or nation. So Ukraine wants to change Russia wants to change Ukraine's ideology and move into NATO. Because on hindsight, Russia slowly wants to join back USSR, which combined of Russia and Ukraine. And Ukraine's opinion that they want to change with Russia is that they want to change Russia's thought about keeping Ukraine secluded and away from NATO. So on top of that, you said, like you said, sir, Russia and Ukraine war is never everlasting. That's because Zelensky, of course, is tried to make peace offers, but Putin just disagreed and said, surrender, don't join NATO, or else we will attack. So in hindsight, like many famous people said, war should be the last resort of conflict. So, like you said, it might be never ending, but it might also stop if Putin decides to change his mind.
Very good.
Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you, jury members. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you for sure that our jury members are taken aback, or rather pleasantly surprised, with the views that our finalists have put forth here today. And I'm sure that you resonate with what our jury members are going through right now. They have the tough task of picking a winner from among the 6 of them. There's only one winner, and rest of them will all be treated as joint runners-up. All right. So now it's time for us to get into that difficult time of figuring out who the winner will be. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for joining for this grand finale of Universal Values Senior Category, an initiative by TCS iON, that is IntelliGem by TCS iON. Don't go anywhere. There are many, many more finals that are coming up. You know how many verticals we have under IntelliGem. So please don't go anywhere and join us in the next finale. You take care.